Florida Congressman Mast just introduced a bill to defend service members for exercising their right to medical privacy. Well, here to discuss the legislation further is Congressman Mast himself. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be with you.
Former President Trump said last month that Congress should pass a bill rehiring every single member of the military who was wrongfully terminated by Biden and his COVID mandate. This bill does just that. Can you give us more details surrounding this legislation?
Yeah, 100%. So obviously, President Trump made an important statement that our members of the military obviously shouldn't get kicked out. I don't think there's anybody that we could say is more essential than our nation's heroes, our defenders. But this administration is giving them the boot, ending their careers, destroying their careers in many cases. So we started that legislation, working on it immediately, and basically saying those members of the military that are given the axe are going to be given the opportunity to rejoin the military, their respective branches, at the rank that they left the military, or at the rank that they were booted out of the military, and that's the nature of this amendment.
The Air Force announced Tuesday it has granted 9 service members religious exemptions to the COVID-19 vaccine mandate out of the over 2,500 requests that branch has received. Meanwhile, the Marine Corps granted just 2 exemptions, while the Navy and Army have yet to approve any. Have you reached out to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin or other defense officials about the low exemption rate?
Yeah, so my office, we've reached out to the military chain of command from top to bottom, and we've been doing it for months. And one of the things that was most alarming about this whole situation, the military has been tracking everything that you can imagine related to COVID. They have a weekly spreadsheet on it that talks about how many people are effective, how many people have been treated, you name it, from their background and ethnicity status. They're tracking everything about them. The one thing that they weren't tracking, or that they refused to give us the information on, was how many exemptions were requested, whether for medical or religious or any other reason, and how many were actually granted. And now you see this information coming out. The fact of the matter is they were denying the civil liberties of military members, not giving them the exemptions that they should have to say nothing other than, I request a religious exemption. Because let's face it, right? They're not going to put together a board of a rabbi, a priest, a reverend, a chaplain, or whatever, and say, what do you think about this soldier's exemption, and then they all vote on it. That's not how it works. All they need to do is say yes when somebody requests that exemption. That's not what they were doing.
And you talked about how Biden's vaccine mandate for the military is making America less safe. Yet Army Secretary Christine Wormuth said the department will begin involuntary separation proceedings for soldiers who refuse a vaccine order and are not pending a final decision on an exemption, claiming unvaccinated soldiers present a risk to the force and jeopardize readiness. Your reaction to that statement?
Well, as members of the force, it's an inherently dangerous job, and there is always risk. But if they think that this vaccination is the greatest risk, it plays right into everything that they've been doing, worrying more about being woke than what's going on in North Korea, worrying more about being woke than what's going on with China, and the list goes on and on. This administration fails to recognize the priorities that need to be put in place for the military, for the service members, for morale in the military, for the war fighters that go out there, don a rifle, body armor, a sidearm, explosive, grenades, everything that they need to go out there and conduct war, and make sure that they can do the job the best that they can. That is not their focus. Their focus is entirely political, which is what this vaccine mandate is really all about. It is politics. It is them washing conservatives out of the military, out of government agencies, so that they can be left with the ones that they want to remain. That's not best for the readiness of the military.
And especially, this is personal for you as well, as you are a veteran yourself and you lost both of your legs in Afghanistan. I want to ask you, though, there are a number of fellow lawmakers who are co-sponsors of your legislation, but do you expect any Democrats to support it as well?
I don't expect one Democrat to co-sponsor legislation. If anything, I think they're probably working on something on their side of the aisle to make sure that members of the military who were separated because of vaccination status do not have any opportunity whatsoever to rejoin the military, and especially at their previous rank. And let's make sure we mention this as well. This goes beyond the military. You think of all the people that were separated from our government agencies as well. But to go back to the military, how does this affect somebody's life to go beyond this? Somebody's separated from the military under anything other than honorable conditions, and it now affects their ability to go get a job with the FBI, the CIA, the ATF, their local police department, their local fire department, or any other place that looks at military service. They are screwing our members of the military with what they're doing on this.
And it just shows how important this legislation is. Again, Florida Congressman Brian Mast, thank you so much again for your time.
I wish you the best.
Thank you. You too.